Your phone rings while you are sitting with a friend, and the screen says it is your mother. In the half-second before you answer, something in you quietly rearranges your posture, your vocabulary, the pitch of your voice, and your friend watches a slightly different person take the call. If they pointed it out, you would laugh because you have seen them do the same thing. But underneath the laugh, there is a small vertigo and a question that does not go away once you have noticed it. Which one of these people is actually you? Take an honest inventory, and the question gets worse. There is the you at work, measured and agreeable, who says that makes sense to things that do not entirely make sense. There is the you with your oldest friend, faster, cruder, quicker to laugh, running on jokes that took a decade to build. There is the you with your mother, who is somehow both older and younger than every other version. It is not just tone. Your opinions shift at the edges. A view you defend fiercely at dinner with one person, you soften with another, not out of cowardice exactly, but because a different self is holding it. The philosopher and psychologist William James noticed this more than a century ago, and he did not treat it as a moral failing. A person, he wrote, has as many social selves as there are people who recognize him and carry an image of him in their mind. Not one self wearing costumes. Many selves, each called into being by a particular gaze. The self that exists for your mother, genuinely, is not the self that exists for your boss, because each of them was built in a different relationship, out of different history, for a different kind of love or use. James thought this was simply what a self is. Most of us hear it and feel slightly caught. The sociologist Erving Goffman went further, and his word for it stings: performance. He studied ordinary life the way a critic studies theater and found front stages and back stages everywhere. The customer service voice, the family voice, the face you assemble in the hallway before entering the room. In his account, social life runs on these performances, and everyone is working hard, all the time, to sustain the character the situation requires. Read Goffman on a bad day, and every conversation you have ever had starts to look like a costume drama. The vertigo sharpens. If it is all staging, where is the person underneath? Here is the possibility almost no one wants to sit with. Perhaps there is no one underneath. Perhaps if you stripped away the work self, the friend self, the family self, the self you are alone with your phone, you would not find a gleaming core of authentic you. You would find nothing at all, an empty green room. Even solitude does not settle it, because when you are alone, you perform for an internal audience. You narrate yourself, rehearse arguments, imagine being seen. The question, who am I when nobody is watching, may be broken from the start because some part of you is always watching. Buddhist philosophy walked into that empty green room 2,500 years ago and, strangely, came out calm. The teaching of anatta, not self, says roughly this: there is no fixed, unchanging pellet of you at the center. What you call a self is a process, not an object, a river, not a stone. And in that tradition, this is not a horror, but a release. The reason you cannot find the one real you among your many versions is not that you are a fraud who lost the original. It is that you were never a single frozen thing to begin with. A self is something you are doing, not something you are hiding. Consider what this does to the accusation buried in the word fake. If the self is a way of responding rather than a solid object, then adjusting to each person is not deception. It is perception. You speak differently to your mother because you know her, because 40 years of shared weather live in your voice when you answer that call. You joke differently with your friend because the joke is the relationship. A musician who plays differently in every room is not being false to the music. The room is part of the instrument. That cannot be the whole story, though, and you already know it, because some of your versions feel like flexibility and one or two feel like disappearance. The psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott made a distinction worth keeping. A false self, in his sense, is not the polite voice you use at work. It is the self built entirely out of compliance. A version of you constructed long ago to keep someone else comfortable, which slowly took over the building. The difference is not between performing and not performing. The difference is between rooms where your range flexes and rooms where it vanishes. Around some people, you become more precisely yourself. Around others, you go missing and something manageable attends in your place. So the honest question is not, which self is the real one? That question has no answer, and it was never going to. The better question is quieter, in which relationships is more of you available. You can feel the answer in your body if you look. There are people you leave feeling enlarged, as if they lent you access to parts of yourself you cannot reach alone, and people you leave feeling like an actor after a long run, exhausted by a role you never auditioned for. Neither experience proves a true self exists. Both tell you something true about your life. There is even a kind of gift hidden in the multiplicity, one James understood. Every person who knows you is keeping a version of you alive that you cannot keep alive by yourself. Your oldest friend holds the you of 19. Your mother holds a you that predates your memory. When someone who knew you deeply dies, part of the grief is exactly this. A self of yours goes with them, and no remaining relationship can summon it. You are not scattered across the people you love. You are stored in them. The phone is still ringing, and your mother is still on the screen, and your friend is still watching. Answer it. Let your voice do the thing it does. You are not lying to either of the people in that moment. You are being known by both of them, differently, at once. The real you was never the note underneath the chord. The real you is the chord. If this gave you something to sit with, that is what this channel is for. Small shifts in how you see your own life. I will see you in the next one.